Commission meeting to order Wednesday, August 23rd. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairwoman Amanda Jackson Denmark.
Here.
Vice Chairman Charlie Whitmore.
Here.
Commissioner Rich Delpore. Commissioner Jason Stewart. Commissioner Jim Flynn.
Here.
Commissioner Lydia DePaul.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Brock.
Here.
Notice regarding adjournment. The Planning Commission will not hear new items until after 9:30 p.m. unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which have not been heard before 9:30 may be continued to the next regular meeting or a special meeting date as determined by the commission members. Notice regarding public comments. Every member of the public who is recognized to speak shall address the chairman and in speaking avoid disrespect to the commission, staff, or other members of the meeting. State your name and address when speaking for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. May I have an adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. May I have an adoption of the minutes for July the 26th?
I'll make a motion.
A second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments for items not on the agenda. Do we have any?
We do not.
Old business. The refuel certificate of appropriateness highway corridor overlay. A certificate of appropriateness to permit the landscape lighting and architecture for refuel convenience store and gas station located along South Carolina Highway 46 across from the May River crossing.
Good evening, Planning Commission. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Peterson. Let her have some well-deserved time off, so she's out this evening. This case was brought in front of you, I believe that was 2 months ago, and it was tabled for a couple of items dealing with the building itself. I believe a lot of those items have been addressed through that process. One item that I wanted to bring to your attention, which hopefully everyone had an opportunity to see, the site plan was revised in order for the applicant to get the foundation plantings. There was an adjustment to the parking area in between the convenience building as well as the car wash. So the applicant has updated their plans. They've actually moved these parking spaces out, and they have 2 parallel spaces and moving the vacuums over here, which is actually a good thing. So that way it prevents any conflicting movements with the car wash and people parking. So that was one of the big changes from the site plan. Came about. Elevations, I believe everyone has had an opportunity to see the elevations. I'm just going to scroll through these rather quickly. If you have questions, you can ask. One of the items that I will bring forward here is that there are 2 dumpsters that are shown on the site plan, and we just recommend that we have the bottom one here in black and white removed. My understanding that that's the dumpster that's for the medical office building that's located next door. So it's a partnership between those 2 applicants as this is moving forward. But the one in color here is for refuel. And this is the car wash details. Canopy as well. The design of the canopy was changed. Material board has been updated as well. The frosted glass and the canopy, this is the example that was provided, the lighting plan. So I think the numbers are still compliance, but just the update of the site plan there. And then the original landscape plan was adjusted, and there's an increase in the different type of plant materials, and that's on the adjusted site plan as well. It was able to meet all of the review criteria that are listed in 317.3. This evening you have the ability to approve the application as submitted, approve with conditions, or to deny the application. Of the 15 items that were provided in the memo, you can see that there were 3 that were highlighted in red that would need to be addressed for the final plan. We have those staff recommendations here. That's just to all comments, and then the final development plan must be approved prior to the certificate of appropriateness being issued. Any sign permits are issued separately, and that you can, if you so choose, with the final development plan must be approved prior to the certificate of appropriateness being issued. Any sign permits are issued separately, and that you can, if you so choose, with the final development plan must be approved prior to the certificate of appropriateness being issued. Any sign permits are issued separately, and that you can, if you so choose, with the to include on here is that all brick dumpster enclosure is removed from the landscape plan. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions. The applicant's here and is available to answer any questions you may have.
The applicant like to speak.
Would you like to speak on any of it?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think it's, since we had a presentation before, I think.
To the microphone.
Have to address all that. Narciso Lira with Odyssey Services Group. We're kind of the project manager for Refill on this. The only thing I have to say really is that we've gone through some extensive changes. We met with Katie multiple times and kind of tried to address all the comments you guys had. I think more so right now, we're just here to provide any feedback or answer any questions you guys might have.
Carrie, were there any public comments regarding this project? Okay. Does anyone want to start or have any questions for Kevin or the applicant?
I have a
Do
question.
you want to go ahead?
Sure.
Okay.
I was wondering if you were able to address the previous comment about having the LED fixtures at the building being a warm color temperature?
Yes, we did. I'm looking.
Come up to the,
Sorry. I'm in DRC mode. That's my
we're
last
live,
exposure
so
here.
we need you to speak in the mic for the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we did. I'm pulling up the drawings here. I know our civil engineer had pulled some details and it was just changing the reference of the lights. To a, well, I'm trying to decipher what.
Do you want to look for that one? How about we do
Yeah,
this?
let me look
See if
and
there's
then
any
I'll come
other
back.
questions, and then while you're looking for it, we can look into it.
Was that your main thing, or do you have another?
That was most of it, and then there was just, I don't think this needs to be a condition, but I think the muntins are not equally spaced in some of the windows.
Oh, I saw that too.
I
Yeah.
think it's just a drawing error,
I
but
think so,
if
too.
we can make them equal, that'd be great. That's all I got.
Okay. Michael, do you have any further comment right now or question?
I think there were multiple dumpster enclosure details. I know Kevin had alluded to, but I think some of the plans, like the construction documents, had a brick base similar to the building, and then the hardy. That was one of the comments that I saw that probably should be just one detail on all the plans matching. And really, my prerogative is to have a hierarchy of the building being the brick base and the dumpster enclosure being the softer material, the hardy board, completely.
So from a staff level, what we can do is we can work with the applicant, make sure if there's any additional details, they are removed, and I'm assuming one of your recommendations would be, if you so choose to move forward, is to remove the brick base from the dumpster and car wash.
I was going to add to that. Yeah, I was talking about hierarchy. I'm piggybacking on him. I think with the car wash as well, I don't think you need the brick on the bottom. I think it's more of a simple structure, and you want the main building to be the priority, the emphasis, the primary. So I think that'll save a little bit.
Just accent it on the building and then put
think so.
the standard on the.
What do you think, Lydia?
I agree. I think that it'll proportionally feel a little bit better too.
No, that makes sense. And I did find here where the lighting had been changed. It had gone from a lower output to reducing the lightly lower output and a warm white output on it. So
We just don't have that, so we'll make it part of. And that's less expensive removing all that brick.
Trying to help you out.
thank you.
All right, down here, Jim, do you have any other?
No, I'm just trying to catch up on that. That's fine. I was wondering about the extra dumpster, so I think I've clarified.
Well, if everybody's kind of satisfied, does anyone want to make a motion with the items we've discussed and staff comments? Lydia, would you like to try?
I think this is the right side.
This is Lydia, yeah.
Okay, I move to approve the application with conditions A and B from staff, and then with the condition that the dumpster enclosure be all hardy board, and that the car wash also be all hardy board without the brick base, and that the lighting at the building be a warm color temperature.
Okay, that's good, Kevin?
I'll second.
All right, do we have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Okay, now we're on to new business. Compass Commons at New Riverside Village, development plan request by Connor Blaney of Ward Edwards Engineering on behalf of Lee Lucier of the Richardson Group for approval of a preliminary development plan application, and I apologize if I said your name wrong. Dan.
All right, thank you. This is a preliminary development plan application for Compass Commons at New River Village. The applicant's Connor Blaney of Ward Edwards. The project proposes 4 commercial buildings totaling about 16,000 square feet. It's on 2 subject properties that are zoned New Riverside PUD, and it's within the New Riverside Village Master Plan. This aerial photo showing the location. It is on the eastern side of the New Riverside Village development. Here's how it looks in Bluffton Explorer, showing 2 separate subject properties. The applicant is requesting a preliminary development plan application. On the northern parcel, there's 2 restaurant buildings totaling 5,125 square feet, and an additional 875 square feet of outdoor dining are proposed. This parcel is on the highway corridor overlay, so you'll see this again when they come through for a certificate of appropriateness. The southern parcel is 2 buildings totaling 12,000 square feet. The buildings are intended mostly for retail space with some restaurant space, up to 8 tenant spaces, one of which, the northernmost parcel, having the capability of a drive-through lane. Staff comments for the preliminary development plan were reviewed at the June 21st, 2023 and the July 19, 2023 meetings of the DRC, and a second resubmittal was provided on July 25th. This is what they presented as a master site plan exhibit. It shows both of the parcels in context, and that's May River Road out here. This road is in place. It's a full access road. This is what I'll refer to as the northern parcel. The back I'll refer to as the southern parcel. It's the site plan for the northern parcel. A little bit closer up, just a couple of things to mention is it is 2 buildings that are connected with the roof structure, and the 875 square feet of outdoor dining is shown here. It's on the corridor overlay. Requires 24 parking spaces. That's based on 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of building. That's true for any of the uses within New Riverside Village. 24 are required, 24 are provided. This is the southern parcel, and a close-up of it as well. It is 2 retail places. Each one of those is 6,000 square feet, each up to 4 tenants. The northernmost tenant space includes a drive-through, and that would be here. So this includes queuing for the drive-through here, whereas on the other side, it's actually parallel parking, along with parallel parking across the street. 48 spaces are required, and 48 spaces are provided. All the buffers are in place. Planning Commission shall consider the criteria set forth in Section 310.3A of the UDO in assessing the application for a preliminary development plan. Here's the review criteria, 1 through 6, the response was included in your packet. Planning Commission has the authority to take the following action, and that's approve the application as submitted, approve the application with conditions, table the application, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. Town staff finds that the requirements of Section 310.3A of the UDO are met and recommends that the Planning Commission approve the application as submitted. open up for any questions you may have.
Connor, would you like to speak to the project? You don't.
Good evening, y'all. Happy to be here. It's good to see you. Connor Blaney with Ward Edwards Engineering. I'm part of the civil engineering team. Also have Steve Sowers here with A101, who's the architect for this project. I think Dan did a great job giving an overcap, so if y'all have any questions, we're happy to answer.
And Carrie, do we have any public comment? Okay. I want to start with questions. Charlie, how about you?
Dan, the landscape is actually during HCOD review, is that correct?
That's correct. It'll only be for the front parcels as well that are in the highway corridor overlay.
Just so the applicant can hear this, it's my understanding that the landscape buffer along the back of the building is less than 8 feet. We have, to my knowledge, never made an exception of less than 8 feet. And, you know, the applicant that was just in here before you had to move the parking and the car wash and all that to meet that 8-foot buffer. So that may be a point of contention at the HCOD, just to point that out to you now. I know it's a very tight space, and I know you don't want to reduce square footage, and that's the last thing you want to do, but just understand that's a requirement.
And also, it kind of, the parking behind Building B, how do you access, like, the second spot for a sidewalk for walkability? So just some of those.
I believe you're referring to.
And that's not anything we're ruling on now, but just
No, just
because you're
for-
coming up to it, we're trying to keep you from having to come back twice.
Since the buildings face the New Riverside Road and trying to promote as much of the 8-foot buffer that we could along the rear of that building, we pushed the sidewalk down to allow the parking stalls to walk around to the frontage while the ADA is directly connected with concrete through the corridor.
Michael, anything? Lydia?
Oh, you were talking over here.
And just as a heads up for the architecture, I know we're not ruling on that right now, but be aware and careful with your AC units facing May River Road. They really shouldn't be facing the highway corridor.
The presenting side of the building is, whether it's the actual entrance or not, the presenting side of the building in HCOD needs to be that May River Road. And with that turret up there, that's an area of concern. What we're trying to do with y'all is the last 4 or 5 that have come for HCOD, and that's our next agenda item, but the last 4 or 5 that have come for HCOD have had to table their application to go back and make changes. So we're trying to
Prevent that from happening and
Yeah.
give you as much information now as possible.
Steve Stowers with Architecture 101. I'm the architect on the project. Really appreciate the feedback. So the AC units, there are no AC units that face May River. There is a exhaust stack, and we are screening that. That's what you're seeing.
Well, whatever that is, there needs to be something.
Yeah, we've got a little
If you can reverse it
parapet
on-
screen. I can't really, just because of the arrangement of the kitchen, the grease
Oh.
stack has to come up.
You need to revisit that because that's going to be an issue
Even
coming
if it's
forward.
even if it's fully screened.
It is May River Road, that's your primary
Okay.
elevation.
Got it.
So I will have a problem with it later if you keep putting it in.
Okay. Got it.
Giving you a heads up.
No, I really appreciate it.
heads
No,
up,
no,
yeah.
absolutely.
Other projects have had to rotate
The whole,
90
the whole
degrees
thing.
or 180 degrees to get that
Recently did.
visual away.
3 or 4 months ago now, there was another
That
one that
last
we
one.
had a lot of reworking,
Got it.
so
Okay.
they had to table. We just don't want you to have to do
No, we
that.
really appreciate it.
Is there anything else anyone has? I know that we're not ruling on certain things, but just to give them a heads up for later, what you might be looking for.
It's a little bit unorthodox, but we're just trying to help you to not have
Yeah,
to.
we really appreciate it.
Kevin's getting ready to present something to us, so that'll be part of another process that you're not in quite yet, so, yeah. Okay, well, with
Yep.
that, if no one has anything else, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Compass Commons at New Riverside Village as submitted.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Okay, so the last thing on the agenda is a workshop item from Kevin.
Yes, thank you. All right. So, as you can just tell, we've been having some issues with these highway corridor reviews. What we'd like to do moving forward is to mirror the COFA HD process that we have. And in essence, what that means is that when a project for a certificate of appropriateness in the highway corridor overlay district, right now it just goes to planning commission. So there's no opportunity for any other staff comments or any like one take of the plan to review it. So what we're planning on doing is breaking it up into a two-step process. So that way a COFA HCOD will come in when an applicant, when they come through for a preliminary development plan, like this process right now, you're starting to give them comments because you know that the next time you see that is in essence at a final.
Well, we were fortunate with this one that they actually submitted more than they had to, so we were able to give them comments. So
exactly,
I'm loving this.
and sometimes people aren't that far along on their projects. So what we're proposing is to follow the similar process as that historic district. So currently, it's a preliminary development plan can be submitted. It's reviewed by DRC and approved by Planning Commission. Then you submit your stormwater. That's reviewed and approved. Then your final development plan is submitted, reviewed at DRC and approved by the UDO Commissioner. Then your COFA comes into play after the fact. So our proposal is you would still move forward with the preliminary development plan, going through DRC and Planning Commission. Then when the applicant goes to submit for their stormwater permit, you can submit your conceptual COFA HCO at that time. And then what we've done is we're looking to require the four sides of elevation with the proposed materials being identified, including roof plans and any color boards that they have, a preliminary landscape plan, because depending on where they are in their process, even if it's just blocked off saying, landscaped area, tree, not necessarily the specific species of tree, but a tree will be at this location, that would be acceptable. And we understand that at this point, they most likely will not have a lighting plan, which is completely fine. So at that final COFA, they will be required to have it. But at the conceptual, if they do have it, that's great. If they do not, it's okay that they submit it without that. And then, of course, the appropriate review fee. So what will happen is during that stormwater submittal, you can submit for your conceptual COFA, because it's going to take you 30 to 45 days to go through that stormwater permit. So you would submit that COFA. It's a 20 business day review, and then it'll go to DRC. So what happens is that three of you will have an opportunity to look at it. And that's not to say that everyone else can't look at it. You can always provide some comments to us if you so choose. But then you also they get staff comments. And the goal is to get the list of the 16 to 20 plus conditions down to hopefully 0, if not, one or two within reason. That should streamline the process for that final. So when they do get those comments in the conceptual, it's no approval, it's just DRC comments. Here's the feedback. So they're able to make those changes during that time frame of hopefully their stormwater permits, still under review. So when they do go to submit for their final development plan, they can submit their final development plan. And then as that starts to go through the process, then they can submit their COFA at that DRC meeting. So they've gotten their DRC comments for their final. Then at that point, the two train tracks are kind of coming back together and they'll be able to move forward. So whenever it comes back in front of you for that final COFA, we have a development plan that's approved and we have a COFA that's matching it, and you've already provided a lot of the comments that you are normally providing and causing the tabled items for 2 months down the road. I think we started to figure it out, and we realized that it still keeps you, it's the same amount of time, no matter what. It just, it gives the applicant the ability to get a lot of those items addressed ahead of time. We actually had a meeting with someone that will be coming before you pretty soon, and we said that this is the process, and they were excited. They were like, "Thank you, this is great."
I have a question.
It cleans it up too, it
Yes,
sounds like.
absolutely.
During that conceptual, and now that we're showing the building, and is building safety looking at that as well?
Yeah, they're a reviewer, so we will. That's
But
when
they're going to be looking at the,
Yeah, to make sure, not, obviously not, the building code, but they will start looking at it if there's any issues that they see.
anything that stands out? Okay.
Yes,
Just because
correct.
I know that we've gotten to finals, and there's so many code things, and then they have to change and come back, and
Yes.
so as long as someone's looking at it before and kind of giving the big picture.
Yes, and we are stressing with the architects to make sure that they understand, HVAC, the utilities, all of these things, they need to address them on the front end. And that's where we're having a lot of problems
That's
on the back end. So, an approval process, there's not necessarily an approval for this. Town council had, I believe it was 2020, they gave us the ability to make changes to the applications manual without having to bring it back in front of them. Obviously, we will let them know what's happening.
They're telling us. Now, Kevin,
So-
I do think that I like this because you're not extending the timing on the front end. You're giving them feedback so that they're presenting it right when they come to us. So, I mean, we've had 3 or 4 that we've had to table because they're not ready.
Yes.
Hopefully that'll avoid this, and it'll avoid frustration from the applicant, and we'll have the product that we all want.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, just wanted to let you guys know what's happening, so that way you'll start to see for the reviewers through DRC, you'll notice that they will have applications that are moving forward. So,
Good, cool.
okay, very good.
I think Jim's going home now.
With
I know,
that,
thank you.
may I have a motion to adjourn?
I want a copy of
moved.
that.
Have a second? Anybody else want to talk about it? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thanks.